an exclusive image of that unidentified object shot down over Yukon last year. So here it is. That's the image. This grainy picture comes from an email printout obtained by CTV News. This object was shot down by a U.S. fighter jet last February when concerns over suspected spy balloons from China. Everyone was talking about it around the world, made international headlines. So this image was actually cleared to be made public shortly after the object was shot down, but then it was held back. Why? The Department of National Defense thought it may cause more confusion. What is it?
This is the Rebel Call channel. Welcome to today's show. Wow. Isn't that incredible, that photograph that they released from what appears to be the first ever computer or camera invented? That is a picture. That was a news clip that they're airing. This is not from a satire film. This is supposedly coming from the news. And that right there is a photo coming from the government in Canada. Some of you may remember when I covered this last year, or you may have heard it somewhere else. But there was a story out there that an unidentified flying object was shot down by an F-22 over Canada back in 2023. And now, over a year later, they finally released us this cutting edge footage, right? I love how they still give us this type of imagery and nobody's suspicious as to why in the year 2024 with what we have, with deep fakes, with AI that they're trying to push, with the clearness of every single picture taken on a cell phone in 2024 versus when cell phones first came out. They give us an image that looks like, this, Polaroid would give this a run for its money. This literally looks like something that came out of the 1920s. But why do they give you imagery like this in the year 2024? Well, because they don't want you to debunk it as being fake. This is the same reason when they show us, like they recently did in India. If you didn't see when they pretended in India that they just recently went to the moon again, or recently in America pretending that they returned to the moon. Of course, not sending humans to the moon. You can only do that in the 1960s, and 60 years later, you can't send humans to the moon because in that area, of course, we haven't advanced. We've gone backwards, and that's because they know you'll be able to see a green screen and call it out for what it is. And in this case, they know if they show you something in clear HD imagery, you'll probably look at it and say that it's not real. So who knew, by the way, that UFO apparently is a big fan of Coco Chanel, because it pretty much looks like the Coco Chanel logo we've all seen over the years. Just a giant C, right? Or maybe it's just a magnet flying in the sky. One way or the other, they want you to believe that this is real. And it's happening at a time that the government is really feeding and baiting people into the alien deception without them realizing it. I've covered recently, and somebody brought it to my attention, I forgot in a recent video, to discuss how police across the U.S. have been given a UFO handbook as they warn that craft pose significant safety risks. So your police are being trained in propaganda to feed to you now that the police have UFO handbooks. And it continues in almost every aspect of life now, where we see them baiting us with UFOs, where they show us footage like that. And then, of course, we have this lingering thing with the Pentagon where they're going to press and give us more secret information about UFOs and aliens, right? They say, this is one of the articles that's out there. This is from People magazine. Ex-Pentagon official discusses government's hunt for UFOs. Quote, I have to be careful what I say. Oh, right. He's got to be careful what he's... this is baiting 101. So, if your level of discernment is that bad, you'll see something like that and you'll say, what? He's hiding something. Look, he's hiding something. Well, that's exactly what they expect you to think. You're not thinking if you actually think that somebody coming out in People magazine and going, I got to be careful what I say, isn't somebody trying to bait you, and that somebody is your own government. Other stories out there circulating. What really happened at the Pentagon's once hidden UFO office? Oh, yeah, what really happened there? Mysterious stories that are just conveniently coming out day after day, week after week, because they're preparing you for a major alien deception. They have the Manhattan alien abduction documentary that Netflix has just released, which isn't a huge thing because there are alien films that come out almost every month, but now we have one as a documentary. That's why I'm mentioning this instead of just giving you every single alien movie that comes out every single month that's labeled as fiction. You now have one that's labeled as a documentary with real witnesses and people involved in the abduction So this is obviously just training the audience out there to accept this as reality now. And that's what they've done over the last 60, 70, or 80 years with all this alien propaganda. So again, let's look at what they're telling us about this UFO information that they just conveniently have given us a year after it happened, where again, the U.S. Air Force shot down this unidentified flying object, and that's the best footage we get, right? I love how all this stuff they constantly show us is from the radar of the fighter jet, right? They show you something that looks like it's out of like NES, out of old Nintendo, right? It reminds you of like Top Gun from Nintendo. It's black and white footage that are never color in 2024, right? It's amazing. High tech, trillions of dollars go into the military, right? Of our tax money. We all know what DARPA has. We all know the direct energy weapons, the capability, the directed energy weapons that they have. But this is what we get, right? They have all that stuff where they could literally shoot a laser beam, and take out an entire, let's just say, town like Lahaina, But this is what we get as far as pictures go, right? They don't have an iPhone that could probably take a better picture. You don't have a flip phone from 1990. You don't have a Polaroid, which could give you a better picture. You get this, right? Just like I said about all the fake moon landing footage they've recently put out. So, in a significant development, CTV News, which is the clip you just saw where the woman's like, what is that? Right? I mean, I know it's a small part, but could we get a better actress? CTV News Canada recently obtained a photograph of the unidentified object that was shot down by U.S. Air Force F-22 over Canada's Yukon Territory in February 2023. The release of this grainy image, unclear whether it was taken from a Raptor during the intercept or from the ground, comes as part of a large Freedom of Information request and has reignited discussions about the mysterious aerial incidents that captured international attention last year. I love how we get stuff like this, right? And again, like it's always grainy with the technology that we have, with the military that we have. But every single civilian is literally walking around filming like 24 hours. Like, go out in public, and how many people have their phone up and are taking selfies and recording? But this, nobody out there still is able to capture any of these images, right, in the sky. Nobody out there has caught a glimpse of any of this stuff going on, except the military, who always gives us these types of quality photos, and then they say, well, somebody requested through the Freedom of Information. They requested this, so we had to give it to them because that's our job as your government, to serve you, right? Oh, a year and a half later, this is what we get. Nobody else stumbled upon any of the. It just got shot down that day. Nobody was around to take a picture of it except for the government, and this is the government gives you. So the images released was shrouded in secrecy. Again, this is how they bait people out there to think there's this big government cover-up about UFOs. And again, I'm not saying that demons aren't real. Demons, aliens, it's one and the same. I'm saying that this whole thing that that surrounds what an alien is, and UFO and space and planets, this is all propaganda that the government created. They created it for a lot of different reasons, and the main one is deception, right? So bringing over demonic entities, okay, and bringing them into the same exact space as us, living among us and revealing it. They don't want you to realize that these are demons, right? That this is spiritual. They want you to think it's it's somebody from another planet. It's an alien. It's a green thing. It's all the propaganda that we've seen over the years of what an alien is. It's mysteriously floating around in orbit. All this crap is government propaganda, and then they tell you it's shrouded in secrecy to bait you in. That's the mind control method here, right? Year after year. Oh, what are they hiding? Hey, Obama. Hey, President Bush, is there really a UFO thing in the Pentagon? And they're like, well, if I told you, I'd have to kill you, right? Oh, as if that's the proper response. Like, people out there don't hear that and go, hey, wait, oh, wow, there's something. Well, that's exactly why they do it. So that you think that, oh, my goodness, they're really hiding something they don't want us to know about. We know it's there. Yeah, well, this is biblical. It is there. Demons are real, okay? The government is just baiting you in over and over and over again. And eventually, finally, when, after we see all these tests in the sky that we constantly see every single day, which I continually am warning people about, telling us that we're getting northern lights, telling us we have two moons, telling us we're getting simulated eclipses, everything is going on in the sky. They want, they're telling you that it's all these different things, right? Because they're running experiments in the sky. And of course, the one thing nobody pays attention to in the sky is the constant chemtrailing that's going on. But it's shrouded in secrecy by design. It's a mind control tactic to make you think that, oh, you're uncovering something. Oh, you figured something out. And the government, like, as if they're not like going, hey, look over here. Oh, it's a secret. Look over here. right? It's the same thing I talk about with, Jeffrey and his island, or Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, and what they're doing now. The stuff only gets out in the news if they want you to know about it. And people go, well, they don't want us to know about the UFO stuff. They do want you to know about it. That's why they continually, quote unquote, leak this stuff to you. It's not a leak. It's a trap. It's baiting. It's baiting 101. It's, what do they call it today? Fishing, right? Fishing you, catfishing, they're luring you in. It's just a trap. So the images released were shrouded in secrecy as heavily redacted documents, of course, redacted documents, reveal that it was approved for public distribution just days after the object was down. However, concerns from a public affairs official at Canada's Department of National Defense led to the image being withheld from public view. The fear, according to these internal discussions, was that releasing the image could create more questions and confusion, of course, rather than provide clarity. As a result, the image remained classified until now, when it finally surfaced via CTV's access to information request. Well, thank goodness for CTV. What would we do without them? What would we do without any of these mainstream news outlets, right? Whether it's CCTV or CNN, what would we do without them? Oh, right, we would live in a much better world where there's no propaganda. Thus, there wouldn't be lies fed upon lies about who's good, who's evil, what's happened in history. None of it would be occurring if we didn't have our good old friends at the news to ruin and destroy our lives. I mean, give us information, right? Oh, right. Remember, folks, I should put it on a t-shirt, okay? The news is not there to inform you. It's to condition you. So, while the image is grainy and lacks detail, we won't give you a reason as to why, of course. They never give you a reason as to why the quality is so horrible. They'll probably try, sometimes I think, I know that they don't watch my content at this point because they can't really find me. Nobody can. But there's probably going to be some propaganda out there at some point where somebody says, well, why is it so grainy all the time? Why does it lack detail when we have the technology? Because somebody's light bulb will go off who hears this and probably go talk about it to somebody else. Eventually they'll have to account for that. And they'll just say, well, it moves so fast that they couldn't capture it, fast enough. Or because of the speed of the fighter jet, we couldn't have a camera on there equipped. Whatever excuse they can make, the sheeple will believe. So it doesn't really matter what they say. Right? They can come out and say, well, the military's broke, so they use cameras from the 1940s. And these people will believe it. It's the same crap that we continue to hear as to why we've never gone back to the moon then if we really went. And they come up with every excuse in the book. Right? We just can't get back there, right? And then when they finally do go back, they show you an Atari game and tell you that it's real actual footage. You say, why is the quality of this worse than it was what you gave us in the 1960s? Well, things have changed in the atmosphere. Oh, okay. And they just believe it. So the sheeple will believe whatever they say. So while the image is grainy and lacks detail, it nonetheless provides the first visual confirmation of the unidentified object shot down in Yukon. Interestingly, the object itself was described in reports as a cylinder-like item with a metallic top and a dangling wire carrying a small payload. Visual object, top quarter is metallic, remainder white, 20-foot wire hanging below with a package of some sort suspending from it. That's the quote that we're getting from the military. Maybe it was a drone. Maybe it was an Amazon delivery UFO, just taking someone's jobs away. Because remember, eventually they want to deliver everything to you via drone. So maybe it was that. The description aligns with the accounts of those involved in the February incident who noted the object's similarity to a balloon, although much remains unknown about its exact nature and purpose. So then they go on to give you a recap from the shoot-down, which I don't need to give you. But what they try to tell you is that because of all the Chinese surveillance balloons at the time, that they weren't shooting down. Remember, they weren't shooting down the balloons that were flying over, supposedly, of course, spying on us, which was baiting. I mean, they're spying on you 24/7, so it doesn't matter whose balloon it is. China and America are one and the same. They didn't shoot those down. They told us out in the news to gaslight and anger everybody that they were going to allow spy balloons to fly over the country. But they did shoot down the alien spacecraft. So ET got shot down out of the sky, despite the fact that we got really good information from the military who told us there was a dangling wire coming from the bottom. I mean, this is what they think of common civilians, of how stupid they think everybody is. And sadly, they're right. Because people will believe this, they'll repeat this, and that's how we live in the world we live in. They listen to the lies, they believe the lies is truth, and then these people go around talking about, did you hear? Oh man, they're hiding something, aren't they? No, they're making you believe that they're hiding something. That's how psychological ops work. The way that they tell you this stuff by saying, oh, well, we don't want to tell you. Well, it's a secret. Well, look, right? The way that they release this information is to make you think that they're hiding this huge secret from you and that it's slowly getting revealed when they're deliberately revealing it. Just like I said with the island of Epstein, that stuff is all out there for you to consume because they're the ones giving you the information. They're the ones giving you the leaks. They're the ones giving you that so that you go down the rabbit hole that they create. And that's what this is. And it ultimately ends up with more and more people being deceived by something in the sky that is going to be so, I can't even imagine the type of technology that they're going to be using in the sky that most people are going to believe it. Because look at the stuff that we've already seen. And I'm talking about Project Bluebeam, for those of you that don't know, which I've covered in many of my videos in the past. You can find a lot of that on the website. But look at some of the stuff we've seen, like in China or even in Las Vegas, with some of the stuff that they project in the sky. Like, it looks legit. I covered Dubai with the 2 moons, how real that looked. We've seen some of the stuff. Those were things that they claimed to be projections, right? They claimed that the 2 moons was a projector. They claim, all these other things in the sky are projectors. So look how clear that looks. That's just what they're showing you. So we can't possibly imagine. Remember, they're like hundreds of years advanced of what they can do. So we can't even imagine how clear and real it'll look and how duped most of these people will be. Remember, these are people who are applauding for Bill Gates when he comes out on television shows and speaks to everybody. You have people literally applauding a mass murderer who's trying to kill them, and they're cheering for him when he comes out. So, you don't think these people can be duped? And don't forget, like I keep mentioning about the Vatican, who's just gone out of their way to let you know that, well, any type of apparitions that happen, we'll let you know if it's real or not. You can trust us, right? Yeah, we could trust them all. We could trust the Vatican. We could trust the Republicans, the Democrats in Congress, We could trust the corporations who are running it all, right? Because they seem sane by telling us that 5-year-olds need to castrate themselves. We can trust all of them, and we specifically can trust the news, right? I mean, if you can't see when you're getting baited, I don't know what to tell you. You see some of these people in life, and I'm like, oh man, how do they fall for that? And then sometimes I feel bad. I'm like, I guess if you're in a place in life where you're lonely or something, and somebody pretends to, you always see these things that I've covered with the online scams where people are pretending to be someone they're not. Like someone's pretending to be Keanu Reeves and then lure in an older woman thinking she's talking to Keanu Reeves because all they did was put an avatar picture. And we all can look at that and say, oh my, how are they falling for this, right? But you don't know what that person's going through. You don't know, they're older, they don't get tech. Okay, fine. Maybe you could say, maybe. Right? But we still look at that. We go, why would Keanu Reeves be reaching out to some 70-year-old woman and asking for money when it's Keanu Reeves? And they make all these lies up and they fall for it, right? We look at it and we go, how do they fall for it? Well, shouldn't we be looking at it with everything in the news at this point? How is anybody believing it? And they're only believing because there's the stamp on it. The stamp, the branded stamp of CNN, NBC, right? It's news. And then again, most of these people question the news when it comes to their political, Trump getting, he's getting made fun of in the news or making stuff up about Trump. It's fake news. But then they believe in all this other stuff when they're getting baited left and right. They don't, it's incredible. I don't know how anybody falls for any of this stuff anymore, especially the alien stuff. Nobody's captured a photo in all these years, right? And I'm not saying that there isn't supernatural stuff going on. Again, I'm talking about the plain script that they've fed us about UFOs from Mars, from all these planets. Oh, there's life over on Pluto. Oh, okay. They tell us that's the narrative that they feed us, right? Okay, I'm not saying that there's not interdimensional demonic crap going on. Of course, I believe that. I'm saying their narrative. How in the world, then, have we never caught anything going on with all of our high-tech military stuff? Oh, but that's what we catch, right? A Coco Chanel UFO flying over Yukon, right? What was it, going out there crab fishing? Right? It's got a dangly hook coming from below is the description that our military, an F-22 fighter pilot gives us. It's absolutely unbelievable what we're living and we're watching play out in front of us. It really is. And there's a reason they waited till now, right? With the technology, with how dumb they've gotten everybody. And it's past fluoride and chemtrails at this point. People are so gullible. I'll have people argue in the comment section. They'll be like, you don't know, I've been abducted. Like, what? Okay, maybe you had some type of demonic entity attached to you, something going on spiritually. Okay, no one's questioning that. But, you got put in a UFO and you were levitating up in Mars. They're telling us there's life on these planets and then there's these things flying around, but nobody seems to be able to get it on their phone. Nobody seems to have a body like in Independence Day, of a gray that they could drag out of their garage, right? Oh, but the military does. They have it. They're keeping it secret, but they're the ones who are telling you that it's out there going on and keeping it a secret, right? But no civilians ever see it. I mean, this is mind control 101, folks. Anyway, I had to rant about it. I hope everybody out there is doing well. Thanks again for being here, everybody. God bless all of you as always and your families.